How to channelize your fear into awakening. So, I really want to open your eyes up to certain facts. You know, most of the people right now are sleepwalking, most of the people right now programmed, even your fears are very programmed. Everybody is fearing the same thing, we fear what if we cannot leave our jobs, and it's we keep on doing that, doesn't align with our soul purpose or doesn't align with our soul, so we keep doing it because of the fear of survival. We have these fears of survival. And then there are people who, they play very defensive in relationships. I've seen a whole lot of people, they play very defensive in their relationships. When I say relationships, it counts into everything. A relationship you have with your father, mother, a relationship you have with your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, in your the relationship you have with your friends, everything counts into that. So people try to play very defensive in their even relationships. They even they even sabotage their relationships, because they have fears. They play very defensive. Okay, so we fear these things, we fear our survival. What if, people keep staying into those relationships that, that doesn't make sense to them. They keep staying in those relationships. Why? Because fear of survival. Maybe they think that, fear of survival in a way emotionally also. you know they, women have um women have really, in the previous era, in the previous times, and still yet, there are certain parts of India where women have really really compromised, when it came to their marriage. They are being beaten, they are being physically abused, and everything, and they've just compromised with it. Why? Because they don't know where to go, what to do, even financially, because back then women were not very financially independent, right? So that fear of, you know that fear has kept them in those relationships that don't align with them. That fear has, I'm sure there are fears for men as well. The right kind of men, the right kind of women, they have their own fears, I get it. But what I'm really trying to talk about here is that these are the usual fears, right? But I really want to open your eyes, and I really want you to see, why are you all having the same kind of fears? Is there something wrong? Are you being programmed into these fear? I was actually, why am I telling you this? Is because um, I was going through a new section since some time. I so I was actually going through the news section, and the kind of news that I'm hearing nowadays, and I've always heard and always seen, I don't know how many of them are really true, you know, like, I don't know, but I cannot deny that people like that exist. So मुझे बोलने का मन नहीं कर रहा है, honestly, but I don't really feel like talking about these news sections and stuff like that. I don't want to bring you into negativity, but it's so important, that if you have those kind of fears, that make you stop living, that make you stay into things that you don't even like, then why are you not looking at these kind of fears? You should also develop your fear in the fear of, for example, the kind of crimes that are happening. um, men are, they were it's just so impossible. I can't do this, but I have to do this. I should do this. So two men were dragged, on a highway by a speeding truck. Okay, like they were murdered, and look at the way they were murdered. Then there was this news that uh, a man raped his own mother. Then there was this other news that talked about, you know, a small 10-year-old child being raped. Then there was another news about, and then of course I saw, how in factories, how like they could just simply kill the animal for meat, but they are brutally, killing them. They are literally, they are keeping them alive and doing things with their body. They're taking out their shell, they're taking out their skin and keeping them alive, okay, and doing what they're doing, okay. So they could have just killed, but they're really keeping them alive. They're really, you know taking out the skin of these frogs and, keeping them. So all these visuals, when I see, why is that nobody is fearing to become this kind of a person one day? What do you think, that you can never become like this? Why don't you fear? If you keep your survival so much in place, you keep doing things that you don't even like because of fear. What if one day you can even transform into these kind of criminals? What if one day you can transform into these kind of, criminals, or these kind of lower consciousness? Literally, have you even given a thought about it? I always used to think when I was, you know I think, I don't know, like, I was, when I saw, I used to think and read about these terrorists and, all these things that are happening around in the world around terrorism. And I was seeing that how these people are trained since childhood. They've been put those hatred, since they are a child. Those hatred has been, really put into them, into their brains, really put into their brains. They're really programmed to hate another community, and they're really programmed to love a god in their mosque, in their temple, in their chambers, in their in the churches, whatever. They are really made to, think, that God would be happy or something like this, you know. And they are taught that since they were a child. And I thought to myself, what if I was not born in the family that I'm born into? What if I was born into, you know, somewhere where these, terrorists are trained, you know? I myself, I carried so many subconscious beliefs and, biases, stereotypes, you know, I carried somewhere that self sabotage energy and, all these things. I picked it up from, of course, maybe my past lives as well. And of course, I picked it up from my childhood. Yes. And it took me like whole amount of time to break down those illusions for myself, to break down those subconscious beliefs for myself and change my reality. It took me a whole lot of time. What if I was born into a family like that? Why do I think that I won't be changed, or I won't become a terrorist because I was taught being a terrorist? We are being programmed very much. What if I become that? You think, how people nowadays just sit at their chair and, they have no spiritual kind of accomplishment. ऐसे spiritual accomplishment नहीं होता है. They have no, they have never done spiritual work on themselves. They never done inner work on themselves, and then they sit on the chair, and it's, easy to point out, look what these terrorists are doing, look what these criminals are doing, look, samaj mein ye ho raha hai, all this is going on. Have you looked at what women are wearing nowadays in the society? Women are doing this. Ek to women pe, I don't know why women are first, catch hold of in any kind of society. First, women are taken into hold, that women should not be. People somehow think that changing women will change the society. Like it's all women's, doing. That is, they will never look into themselves. They have never done an inner work. They don't even know two bad things about them. And then they have the guts, to come sit on the chair and tell what's going wrong with the society. You know, See, some of them have right intentions. I get it, okay, but somehow you've been programmed to believe that evil lies outside of you, and even if it lies, they are choosing it. The real spiritual wisdom is that people are choosing their lanes. You know, are we choosing our lane? Are we choosing where consciously where do we want to go? If you consciously choose to be a demon, choose that. But at least come to the consciousness, at least come to the state of conscious. Many of you are in hypnosis, many of you are literally sleepwalking. रियली अगर आपको डरना ही है तो आप इससे डरो कि आप कहीं ऐसे क्रिमिनल्स ना बन जाओ, कि आप कहीं ऐसे टेररिस्ट ना बन जाओ. If you really have to fear something, you should fear that you do not lose connection from God, that one day you don't become a criminal like that, a terrorist like that. That's what you need to fear. That's what you should fear. But we are so all programmed to, you know, fear the certain things. What if that person hurts me? So what do? I play defensive and I go and hurt that person first. Or I let me just test. All these evil things you allow yourself unconsciously. Hannah? So all these things are there. We fear these small little things. Why don't you fear, you know, um, cutting that cord of divinity with your father, with your divine creator? Why don't you fear that? If you really have to fear something, then you should fear that one day you can become that insensitive. One day, maybe next birth, you born into such a world where, let's say, there is food crisis. you know let's say there are wars happening. you know let's say you're born into things like these. you know what will you do then? You will. I think it's so. I remember Sadhguru saying, Sadhguru is my guru. So I remember him saying that, it's such a crime, of child or, a family who hasn't eaten well in a day. I ask them to come and learn spirituality. It's such a crime. And he's so right. Literally, somewhere the free will of humanity is being taken hold of. You are being programmed somewhere to, take to get into things that doesn't align with your soul. You are not even consciously doing that. We know what you are seeing your neighbor. Okay, you're seeing your neighbor. If your neighbor is doing it, then it's okay now. Everybody is doing it now, let me also do it. So people have started to think like that. And let me tell you, um, West is very much into conspiracy theories and everything, which is fine. Yes, there are certain conspiracy theories. I'm sure there must be. Some of them must be true. Yes, but somehow I think that those conspiracy theories are, making these spiritual seekers stuck on the exterior somehow, stuck on the external somehow. You know, and they're losing the whole point, they're losing the whole wisdom. And the wisdom says, the supreme wisdom that says is that we can only take care of ourselves. What we can choose is we can shift the reality, we can shift our reality. We can never, you know um, we can of course feel bad, we feel so bad when we look at these things. When I look at these crimes, I not only feel bad for the victims, I also feel bad for the oppressors. I don't, of course I get angry over these things. I feel a lot of anger towards the oppressor. But somewhere I've come to a point of wisdom where I do realize that it's their choice, it's their making. Because I have done the work, I have chosen what I have to choose. And it makes me come to a point where I do realize the kind of hard work that I have done, they also have to do that kind of hard work, to come out of that. I have come to that wisdom because I've chosen my path, I've walked that path, you know. So I was talking about a conspiracy. So many conspiracy theories. So one of the the theory that has come up is about playable characters. I don't know if this is true or not. So there are certain beings among us who don't have souls. You know, if I'm not getting it wrong. So there are certain beings among us who don't have souls. They are like a dark agenda somewhere. Okay, so they are making evil things look normal. They're very much controlled by the dark and something like this. So these are honestly, I have never met anybody without a soul. I've never had experience something like that. So yeah, um, so I don't know if this is true or not, right? But this could be even true. You're being manipulated into, you know, into their new normal. Crimes are the new normal. I don't know. It has really become normal for us now. Kids getting raped, children, women, crimes, happening against women and children, sexual crimes happening against women and children, then, the physical violence and abuse that is there against men, is uncanny. So, why don't we fear this? That maybe one day we can become that criminal, you know, if we never did our spiritual work, if we never did our inner work. That's what we need to be fearful of, ain't that? You are just programmed to look at only one picture. Just programmed to look at only one picture. You really need to look at the whole picture. It's time. You really need to sit with yourself and ask what you really want. Where do you want to move in? You can at least shift your reality if you cannot do it for the others. And we need to come out of this, superhero syndrome. All our fictions are like that, where Superman is coming saving us. Batman is such a damn fictional. There is this gothic, city, and it is full of crimes. This is actual, this is what your, this is somewhere, fictions are somewhere. I feel their desires, the real desires of our soul, but they lack a lot of wisdom, is what I feel. They lack a lot of spiritual wisdom. So this person was really imagined that there is a city which is full of crimes and everything. This Batman comes, he's a very wealthy person, and he chooses to, um, and he chooses to devote his life to, get these criminals out of the city, and get the city back to its normal thing. you know so this is our desire, deepest desires. Ain't there something completely wrong with it? We can only choose our path. And I'm not saying that you will never be called out. Sometimes you feel the call, to stand up against the criminals or to stand up against the crime. You can be called for that. If it's your soul's call, then you will go ahead. You will, do everything possible, to stand up against the crimes, but it's so important that you need to understand that you also have to work on yourself, and you also have to shift your reality. you know at least you shift your reality. Maybe The person next to you, feels your vibrations, feels your shifts that you're making in your spiritual journey, and maybe he starts doing it as well. Maybe he also comes out of that. At least you do your part. That is so important. So, yeah, this is what I really wanted to talk about, that we really need to channelize our fears. We've been programmed to fear our survival, but we should also think about, fearing what if we never lived? What if we unconsciously keep doing things that we did? And one day we would never know and we would be in the darkest of places. And trust me, as the times are going, the free will of humanity will be taken. It is already being taken. If you're not given food, how can you consciously even choose, to, the food right now on the planet is divided according to the money. आपकी capability देखी जाती है. You know, if you're capable enough to earn money, you know, only then you can get the food. And if you're not, this is ego. Of course, this is ego. Sun, is nature is unbiased. It gives food. It produces food for everyone. It is us, we are dividing the food, you know, according to the money, according to the capability. At least food category should not belong to capability. They are literally, I think in China they are doing this, that I am not sure, but I think in China, um, senior citizens are not given much favors. They're not given, I think their plight is like their circumstances really bad in some ways. The senior citizens of China, they don't, governments have, some governments I'm saying, have stopped to think of you as humans. They've started to think of you as some productive robots. जब तक तुम काम करोगे, till you can work, till you can earn, we will give you the favors and everything, till you get old or something, you're like some worthless machine now. Your productivity is so low now, so don't expect favors from us. Government is supposed to serve us, but right now some governments have become like, you know so authoritative, like we should serve them, you know and what does normal person think, that we should not get into politics. Getting into politics is really going to ruin our image, is going to ruin our reputation. We'll get into that, and somehow we will also get stuck into the bad world. So normal people are going to avoid politics. I should not say normal people, I should say people who are programmed. Majority of the people who are programmed will avoid politics because they feel that going there is going to. It's so important that you come into your purpose, you come into your soul alignment. What are you made for? Stand up for that, fight for it. It's better to, it's better to die. I don't know why we are into that fear of survival. I really feel it's better to die, you know, like I'd never want to compromise on Shiv Tattva. I never want to compromise on the God within me. I never want to compromise on my soul. It's better to die, you know, um, out of not meeting my survival needs than compromising on the Shiv Tattva in me, rather, you know, than compromising on God in me. You really need to ask yourself, are your survival fears are bigger, or your living fears are bigger? Do you want to just survive, or do you just want to live? And live in a way that your, cord, your tie, your thread with the cord never gets, cut. So yeah, that was what I really wanted to talk about here. Let me know in the comment section if these videos are really making a difference in your life. You're really feeling ki she's making sense, or you feel that I am in some delusion talking about new earth, this or that. I don't know, it's just okay. You should I want you to really express, and um, it will also motivate me, that okay, these videos are really making difference in people's life. They're really waking up to the reality. Or you can email me, or you can DM me on Instagram, whatever you feel comfortable. It will really motivate me to see that yes, these videos are really putting some impact on you. So yes, thank you for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, let it reach others, let it open their eyes as well. Thank you for watching.
यार मुझे ना एक और बात ऐड करनी थी. I so much wanted to add one more point to this whole video is that you are moving, okay? Either you will move into the lower density, the lower consciousness 3D, or either you will move into the 5D. And yes, you're going to feel a little bit of a lot more discomfort, to come out of your ego and move into the 5D, but it's worth it. So if you don't choose 5D, you are going to slip into the lower density, or you are going to slip into the 3D. Why do you think there is a kind of a divine intervention that we have right now on the planet? Many people are speaking about this, talking about this. Many rules have been broken, in some ways. The things that shouldn't be out are out, okay? Why do you think all of this is happening? Just to make you understand, just to make humanity understand a whole lot of things right now. Just to give that free will back to humanity, that they can choose what they want, And right now, it's easy for you to strive for your awakening. It's easy for you to do your spiritual work. It's easy for you to do your inner work. If you do not choose the new earth, if you do not choose the 5D, higher densities, higher consciousness, higher dimensions, you will automatically slip into the 3D. You will automatically slip into the lower densities. I don't want to scare you, but if your fear, if your ego makes you fear things, then tell your ego that there is other side of the coin too, that it needs to fear the other things as well. So you are moving. You are not, you think that you are somewhere, in the world, and, you have to strive somehow towards the new earth. And I am also striving. I'm still striving. And it's easier right now. You are going to go through the discomfort because you know, we have gone against our own real nature, you know. So it is going to take you a little time, but trust me, it is going to be worth it. It's going to take you somewhat deaths, but it's worth it. So choose 5D Earth. You have no option, trust me. Choose the awakening, choose to do the inner work, choose to do the spiritual work. That's it. Thank you for watching.